I was reading an article in the New York Times that was discussing Rick Perry and his role in being the Secretary of Energy, running the Department of Energy, and the pressure that he is going to feel to begin testing nuclear weapons underground again. This is an interesting story because of the implications and the fecklessness of your boy Rick Perry. Number one, we haven't tested any weapons underground since 1992, I believe. So it's been a very long time since we've done that. And since we've last tested I think North Korea is the only other nation, or I think India and Pakistan tested after that. And then after India and Pakistan, North Korea. Starting to test our weapons again will escalate the likelihood of a true arms race, nuclear arms race, right? And the reason this is even a conversation is because of Donald Trump's position on nuclear arms. It's very likely that somebody like Rick Perry, who does not have any expertise whatsoever in nuclear weapons, nuclear energy, right? His expertise may be in oil because he's from Texas. But in terms of maintaining and protecting our nuclear capabilities, he has zero expertise. Whereas I believe our last two Secretary of Energy, they have been physicists. I think one is even a Nobel Prize winning physicist. So, you're going from people who have the expertise to actually understand the conversations that are going on with regard to our nuclear weapons. And when I say understand, able to talk to other scientists in regards to the necessity of doing A, B, and C, and being able to read through, the article actually called it the BS, right? To be able to read through the BS that's coming from somebody versus going to a Rick Perry who couldn't even name the Department of Energy as the third department that he wants to dismantle. So that, on top of the fact that he's going to be getting pressure from Donald Trump to enhance and to increase our nuclear capacity, is very likely, according to this article in the New York Times, to push us as a nation back to testing nuclear weapons, which we haven't done since 1992. That is going to exacerbate the problem in so many more ways. It is going to set a precedent or reset a precedent that is going to cause a nuclear arms race. And you have to actually take a pause and ask yourself the question as to why, right? Like, all of this is 100, everything that we're talking about that have these far-reaching ramifications and implications, it's 100% because of the hubris of Donald Trump. Not out of some strange necessity that we're in a different point in our international order that requires us to enhance our nuclear capacity. No, it's Donald Trump responding to Vladimir Putin and his comments on modernizing their nuclear weapons in Russia. So we're now in a position where actual policy, future policy, dangerous policy is getting ready to take place 100% not out of necessity, but because of Donald Trump's hubris. And that's really kind of the end of the conversation, because there's almost nothing that we can do to stop this, right? Save some legislation from Congress to block it. And I'm not quite sure that Congress is going, particularly a Republican Congress, is going to stop nuclear testing. Or going to pass some legislation that will undermine our ability to test nuclear weapons. So here we are. We're on the cusp of a new arms race. A real possibility, depending on how they carry out Donald Trump's, morning mood. Right? We have international ramifications being set based off of the unstable mood swings of a man-child. And as succinctly as we could describe his problems, we are equally chained to the ramifications. So the question that the last caller asked was like, what do I think is the natural outcome of this? Just study any arms race in history. All arms races escalate to the point of an actual conflict or an agreement that there's no way we're going to win this. But we've already gone through that process, right? That's what the 80s was about. The 80s was between the Cold War. That's what the Cold War was about. It was an escalation of arms and tensions to the point where we realized, you know what? Nobody's going to win this game. But you have an unstable man. And when I say unstable, I mean, I think he is mentally and emotionally unstable. No. Let me take that off the plate. I don't think he's mentally unstable as in has mental health issues. I just think that he's so full of himself that he cannot possibly see the danger of leading the country based on his bullshit hubris versus being a stabilizing force in the international community. We may hate everything about Obama's policies. We may hate everything about his economics. We may even hate his foreign policy, but Obama was not threatening the international stability because of his hubris. And I already know people are going to say, well, he was bombing 7 Muslim nations. Yes, he was. And that's something his legacy is going to have to contend with for the rest of our lives, for our generation. What type of president was Obama? But what you cannot say is that he put us in a position that we have to now engage in a nuclear arms race simply because he woke up one morning and thought he would try to measure his dick next to Vladimir Putin. And that's not saying a lot, right? That's not even a compliment. It's just saying we got some fucked up years ahead of us.